This is a second video on gradient, and we're looking at things a bit more closely. Let's say we've got this road here and it's in green, and we have a town that we're starting off at, and we'll put the starting point here. I'm calling the starting point point 0. So that's a town we start from, and we're on the perfectly straight road, and we've got town A down here. Town A is 8 kilometers in a straight line from town 0. And then further down we have town B, and it's 12 kilometers. So we know how far each town is from point 0, the starting point, but how do we work out how far it is from town A to town B? So how do we work out the distance from, in a straight line, from A to B? Well, that's pretty easy, isn't it? You would go distance from 0 to B, distance B, minus distance A, which is the distance from 0 to A. And that would be 12 minus 8, which is 4 kilometers. That's easy. Let's look at another example here. What if we've got the starting point 0 here, and we've got town A out here in this direction, and I'll label that one. We've got town B out in that direction. Rightio. Now, if the distance from 0 to A is 5 kilometers, and the distance from 0 to B is 12 kilometers, how do we work out the distance from A to B? So all the way from there to there, or the other way, either way, it doesn't matter, but the distance between A and B. Well, can we still go distance B minus distance A? Can we still use that? Well, we can. If we put in negatives and positives, we can do that. So if we call that direction positive and we call that direction negative, I suppose we could do that, couldn't we? So the distance from 0 to B is 12, that'd be positive 12, minus, and the distance to A is 5, but it's in the other direction, so we could call that negative 5, and we've got 12 minus negative 5, which is the same as 12 plus positive 5, and that'd be 17. Okay. So of course that would mean on any number line, if we've got positive 4 here, and we've got negative 3 here, the distance between those 2 points would be positive 4 minus negative 3, which is positive 4 plus 3, or 4 and 3 simplified, and that's 7. Does it still work if the number line's going up and down? Well, of course it does. We turn the number line up and down, of course it works. Let's say we've got positive 10 up here, and we've got negative 11 down there. What's the difference between these 2 points, this point and this point? Alright, well, it's the same thing, isn't it? It's positive 10 minus negative 11, which is the same as 10 plus 11, which is, distance is 21. What's this got to do with gradient? Let's have a look. As we saw before, the gradient of a line which has the symbol m, gradient is rise over run. If we've got 2 points, let's call point A is given by 2 numbers. Okay, a point needs 2 numbers, an x and a y coordinate. And, sorry, that should be an A. So point A would be given by the point x, y, with little a subscripts beside them. Just subscripts are just a way of naming something. And if we have a second point B, it would be x subscript b, y subscript b. The gradient is the difference between the rise and the run. So the rise is the difference between the two y coordinates, because remember, when we've got our xy Cartesian plane, y is up and down vertical and x is horizontal. So rise is the difference in the y's. The little triangle means difference. It's a mathematical symbol, and the difference in the x's. Now what that is, if we look at the two y's there, it's the last y minus the first y. So it's yb minus ya. And the difference in the x's, or the difference across, or the run, is the last x minus the first x. Just like we did in those number lines at the beginning of the video, it's the last one minus the first one. And that's our formula for gradient, and so we'll highlight that. Okay, so your gradient is rise over run, but if you're given coordinates like you'll see in these examples in just a minute, it may be more useful to use this version of the formula here. Get a note of that. The good news is that this allows us to calculate the gradient without even drawing a picture. Let's look at these two examples. Find the gradient of the line joining the points. You could draw it if you want, but it's completely optional. I might just draw it in this video just to help you out. 3, 4 is the first point, so it'd be here, go across 3 and up 4. 5, 6, it'd be a bit further along and a bit higher up, and we have a line there. Okay, and we have a rise and a run. Okay, so the way we get, remember the way we get the rise is the difference between the two y values, and the way we get the run is the difference between the x values. So again, the way we get the rise is the difference between the y values, and the way we get the x is the difference. The way we get the run is the difference between the x values. So let's have a look at that. So you don't have to draw this diagram as long as you know your formula. So let's look at A here. So this is how you set it out. So you go gradient, or m, equals yb minus ya over x sub b minus x sub a. Okay, they're little b's, not big b's, and they're down the bottom and not up the top. I don't want to see anyone write something like this. That's a power, that's not right. Okay, it's got a little b down the bottom to label. Okay, so for this to happen, we've got to identify each of these things. So if we look at yb, okay, yb is the b point, the y coordinate of the b point, which is the second number in the b. So that would be 6. So let's write it in. 6 minus, and the y coordinate of point A is the second number, that's 4. X b is next. Okay, the xb there. Alright, that's, we go to the b again, and the first number is the x, so it's 5 minus, for the a, xa, it's the x coordinate of a, which is 3. And we have 2 over 2, which is gradient of 1. Just quickly, one last example here. So we'll do part B a bit more quickly. So You can rewind the video if I go too fast for you. So we've got the YB in this one will be -3. The YA will be 6. The XB would be 1. The XA would be -3. We write out our formula for gradient. Gradient equals YB minus YA over XB minus XA. Substitute those in. So that would be -3 minus 6 over 1 minus -3. Now be careful here. -3 minus 6 is -9. 1 minus -3 is 1 plus 3, which is 4. So it's -9 on 4, which is fine. You can leave it like that because it's a simplified fraction. Or optionally, okay, it is -2 1/4. But you don't have to turn it into a mixed number.